So here's a good example of a very pinpointed example of how gang stalking, the people involved, are all idiots. I mean, I just pause because there's no I'm trying to think of how else to describe these maggots and how stupid they are. But and you'd think with the technology they'd be able to cross reference and be able to see these things, but then you realize again and again that narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, these are people who, remember, Durvasula said that narcissists, sociopaths, these people cannot, for the life of them, think that they are ever wrong. The key word being here, ever. It's hard for them to apologize. And when they do, their mask slips, meaning they get rage filled, they get angry. Just, it's not the simple, like, feeling humility, shame that we all normal people have, right? Or even, normal people will be like, oh crap, you're right, I was wrong, or feel shame and say sorry, or feel remorse. They don't have the ability, you maggots do not have the ability to see your mistakes. And like I said, and that's why I've said in so many of my other videos that you are blind to how to come to knowledge in a good and accurate and very broad way. So I'm sitting here on my computer backing up items from my computer on into the cloud. I do that, and not that it matters. I mean, these you maggots can obviously erase everything and whatnot, but I just decided to do it because a gang stalker recommended that I taunted me into doing it. And I'm not going to go into that, but I'm doing this. And yesterday or the day before yesterday, I've been doing this. I've been backing up everything on my desktop, which is, quite a bit of stuff. And so the process has been going on for about a week at least. But yesterday I was on, I don't know if it was Amazon Prime Video, or it was Hulu, but it was Twilight Zone, the old Twilight Zone, and black and white. And I was on there, and I'm like, why am I going through? A lot of the times when you are gang stalked, you are compelled to do things. Not a lot of times, majority of the time. A lot of the times, whatever you're doing is predetermined by them, and and you're compelled to make choices, bad choices, mostly bad choices, to whatever ends there are, right? So, and it happens all day, every day, your entire life if you're a targeted individual, right? So I'm on Amazon Prime or Hulu, and I chose Twilight Zone, and I just kind of scrolling through, and I realized, wow, there are a lot of episodes. They have 5 seasons, and each season has about 30 or 37, I thought I saw, episodes each. So actually each season is like a double episode. So it's like 10 seasons of black and white, old-fashioned Twilight Zone episodes. And I was just going, wow, there's so many. And considering watching a few, but I just kind of felt overwhelmed, and I didn't want to really watch Twilight Zone, so I just thought to myself, why am I here? What am I doing here? Kind of getting ready to leave, and then I chose one episode out of, remember, there are like 37 for each season. So that's, 200 episodes. I chose one episode. And I don't remember the name of it. It was the episode where the guy is compiling actually the synopsis said something like, this man who's obsessed with compiling data on bad people. I think it said like bad people, narcissists, killers, murders, or just like those kinds of things. And then I was like, okay, That's the one I picked out of 200 episodes. This is obviously them compelling me to watch it. And not only that, I didn't want to watch it, but they compel you to watch the episode. But since I knew that was happening, I fast forwarded through the whole thing. Meaning, actually, I don't even want to say fast forwarded. I was done with the episode in 5 minutes. So I went to the center, I clicked to the center, and I clicked to the end. And then and basically the guy wished that all the evil people turned into trolls, 3 foot tall trolls, and in the end of the episode, he turned into the troll, and because he's an evil person, because he's compiling all this evil stuff about people, right? So Twilight Zone, do 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 do. It's like, oh look, it turns out that you're actually the bad person, which is the gang stalker's way of trying to tell me you're the bad person. You compiled stuff on people. You were always concerned about other people being narcissists and this and this and that. So all of this rings false. It's bullshit because clearly I've never tortured anyone. I'm not Machiavellian. I've never been Machiavellian. I've done bad things. Everybody does. But I'm not one of those people who ever believed in things like fake it till you make it. I hated that, and I constantly told people I don't like that. Or, people would always tell me I'm too nice when I was younger. You're too analytical. You think too much. You're too smart for your own good. These are things people would tell me, unsolicited. You know, when I was younger, warm. Sometimes you have to lie. All these things like about business. Sometimes you're too. One of my most best friends tell me, business, you're not good for business because you're too honest. You're not suited for it. It's very cutthroat. I see you in nonprofits. Create something creative. This has been said to me my whole life. So it's not just my own description of myself, right? So I know myself, but even if those people hadn't said those things, which they have my whole life, I know myself. And when I read The Prince, Machiavellian, I don't know, it was like probably 15 years ago, I was grossed out by it. My innate reaction to it was, this is disgusting, and I don't like it one single bit. And I put it down, read the whole thing. And I also bought the book 48 Laws of Power. I read that book, I think 80% of that book, and I was repulsed by it. I thought it was pregnant. And I remember flipping to the back page and seeing the author's face and wanting to punch him, or thinking he was such an asshole because of what he was writing in this book. And for so long, for so long, up until about about 6 years ago, maybe about 5 years ago, I'm thinking maybe less. I always kept telling people, you don't have to be cutthroat. You don't have to be a bad person to get ahead in business. You don't have to do this. You don't have to. I was always that person saying that, and always, thinking this. So I'm not that person in that Twilight Zone episode. And what these you maggots try to do, and the technology tries to do, and you people try to do, is try to make me feel bad about myself for things that I am not. I am not those things. And the weird thing is you maggots are the kings and queens of projection. I mean, here we're talking about maggots, you fucking low-life piece of shits who torture people. You actually literally torture people with electronic weapons, with sabotage. I mean, I've covered it all in my other videos, and you can Google gang stalking and all the things that happen to the person. Breaking into their car, destroying their personal property, lying, stealing, and manipulating, premeditated Machiavellian kinds of behavior, sexually assaulting, sexually raping, sexually manipulating women to sleep with them, manipulating women to date them, to marry them. I could go on and on and on, but you could just simply Google and do your own research, and you know yourselves. You're dirtbags, pretty much. You are scumbags. I have never done any of those things. I could have done those things. I have dated guys that were extremely good looking, probably like a 9 or a 10. 6'4", beautiful face, beautiful body, lots of money. Um, and I mean lots of money. One had like, his family had like thousands and thousands of acres in the family, and the other one had like, he bragged that he had like two homes and had millions of dollars. I've dated guys like that, and guess what? Did I gold dig and want to be with them just because they looked good and had money? Like everything all the gold diggers want, right? No, I dumped them because um, we were not compatible. I didn't like their personality. They weren't humble. They weren't loving. They weren't kind. And, I took one, after I dated one for a little while, I took him on a camping trip with all of my friends, like 20 friends. Yes, I was popular. I was loved. I had a great life before the gang stalking went overt. So I'm unlike you guys. I was a happy person who had lots of friends who loved me and liked me and wanted to be around me. Not like you guys. You guys can't have that because you're empty inside. And for anyone that tells you this, you destroy their lives because you just can't stand it. Um, but anyways, yeah, I took him to the camping trip, and I couldn't believe it, but he was bragging about his money, and he was just obnoxious. So if I were a gold digger, then I would have. It's how easy it is to get married. It is like it is the most easiest thing to do. I never understood women who complain about dating, like how hard it was. There's something wrong with you. That's why there's something wrong. That's why it was hard for you to find someone. Dating was never an issue for me. It was so easy. Just like most everything else in my life, it was so fucking easy. And that's because I'm not like every other girl or woman. So yeah, I wasn't manipulative, not Machiavellian. I wasn't a gold digger, not a murderer. Definitely not a murderer. You guys were the murderers. You guys are the murderers. So all this stuff I know about myself. I know who I am now. I'm very grateful for that. And then you do these things like with the Twilight Zone episode where you're trying to tell me that I'm compiling all this stuff and I'm the evil person. Well, here's the thing. A long time ago, a friend of mine was started dating this guy, and just my talent that I talk about in my other videos. I just saw a picture. I know it was just a picture, but just like everything else in this world, I'd see something, or I'd notice something, or I'd be around someone, or I'd watch somebody's body language, or see the way that they act, and I immediately saw that picture and I thought, scumbag, fucking scumbag, and that was my first bam impression, and I'm like, oh no, she is in trouble. That's exactly what I thought from just that picture. And I just remember thinking, does she not know that she's in trouble? And the only thing that I had that I probably should have done back then was tell her instantly, okay, are you okay? I'm getting a bad feeling from this guy, yada yada yada. But I didn't. And then one day I was kind of like browsing. I don't know how many, it was like a year after browsing through Craigslist. This is something that I did in my spare time. When I was bored, I would read rants and raves, hilarious if you read it, and post in rants and raves and ask the most crazy questions on Craigslist, because I have this weird curiosity. I have a curiosity about everything. It is insatiable curiosity about everything, and I'm not going to digress into this, but even the weirdest things I'll be curious about. So I didn't even realize Reddit existed. Reddit questions, where you ask everyone. If I had known that existed, I would have been on Reddit instead of Craigslist. But I would ask these questions like, if I'm thinking of one thing, I don't know. I'll have to think of it, and maybe it'll pop up later. But I would do that, and then I would scroll through Craigslist male for woman and woman for male. Curious to see what kind of people were on there. And I met one person through there, and we dated for like a couple months, and then I ended it because we weren't compatible. But that's it. That's all I ever did. And I ripped a new one to anybody that was an asshole. If they were an asshole, I have a way with words. I would rip them a new one, and they would feel. The truth is, most of you guys, because they were gang stalkers. I would twist you onto a little pretzel by the things I would say. And I'm not saying that like in a narcissistic way. it's because a lot of the things that these lowlifes would do were really cruel things. Like they would say things like, "Oh yeah, you're a fat bitch. If you're a fat bitch, then you're not going to get this and this and that anyway." And it wasn't directed at me. Sometimes it'd be directed at me after I said something to them first. But I would say something to them like, "Yeah, well, yada yada yada," and then they say something back. That's when I'm more reactive. And I'm sure there were times when I was belligerent in a proactive way. But I know myself, and I know the vast majority of it, not all of it, was geared towards assholes who were misogynist, racist, um, Nazi types, or just lowlifes. But the whole point is, I was on Craigslist looking at mail for woman, and I thought I saw her husband, that friend's husband, on there. And I can't. It's kind of hazy now because it was so many years ago, but I can't remember. I clicked off. Oh, you know what I think it was? I think I saw his face first on Craigslist, and then I saw my friend's photo of her boyfriend, and he turned out to be her husband. And then I was like, "Oh crap!" I think that's why I kind of freaked out, but I couldn't prove it, and I don't have that photo that I saw so many months ago. And so at that point, I started collecting Craigslist photos. I have it right here. It's in my desktop folder under archive, under CL, under Craigslist collecting, and I have about 40 photos that I saved off of Craigslist. Um, and one of them's one folder says craving older with a question mark. The other one says pick collecting, and I have 40 photos in there, which is not a lot actually if you think about it. Because I started this late. I've been looking at Craigslist for, I don't know, since 2004, 2007, probably 2007, 8, 9, 10, a little active, and then definitely after that, like 2014, 15, 16, very active. And so 40 photos is not a lot. And I wish I had collected from the very beginning, man. Way back when. And I did it because I was looking at all these cheaters on, I think, what was it called? It was like, what was the one that was called that you just wanted a one night stand? I can't remember. But anyways, I see all these married people and married men, and I'm like, and when I was younger, even now, it's just my nature. I'm very naive about things, and at the same time, very curious about it. I have a very strong moral compass. I have very high ethical standards and principles. I have been blamed for having too high of ethical standards and being too principled. And and I just remember thinking, like, wow, look at all of these married men cheating on their poor wives. And I hated it. I hated it with a passion. And looking back now, I should have been like, who gives a freaking frack? And to my knowledge, I have not been cheated on. But that came from seeing my friend, the friend that was with that dirtbag, being cheated on, and all my girlfriends being cheated on, and just being destroyed by it. Destroyed. And I can't think of one guy friend that I know that had been cheated on. Not one, but nearly every girl that I've ever known cheated on in a horrible way. And so I just started collecting these pics, thinking I'm going to start collecting these pics just in case one of them is my friend's husband, and just in case I date someone and they turn out to be one of these dirtbags. There had been one experience where I spoke with somebody on Craigslist, because I would never be serious, right? That's another thing that I was never serious about. I actually had a friend that told me when I was 26, why are you on Match.com if you're not serious? Because I was on Match.com for like a week or two just to see what it was like, just out of curiosity. And we were at lunch, and I said, I'm not really on there to meet anyone. And he said, well, you're getting lots of messages. My first week I got 100 messages in my Match.com inbox, and didn't give a rat's ass about it because I wasn't serious about meeting anyone. And my friend said to me, why are you on there if you're not serious? There are people on there that are actually looking for people, and they're serious. And I said, I didn't realize. Well, I was just curious and what. That's kind of my attitude with Craigslist. And I remember having this conversation, this dialogue with this one guy that I had no intention of meeting. And then he said something, he said some stuff about himself, showed some pictures. Then I saw him like weeks later, or a month later, 3 months later, same guy with a completely different narrative, different background, different lifestyle. It was like psychopathic to me, psychopathic. And so I decided, you know what? I realized then that people were lying. People had double lives online, portraying themselves as one thing while in real life they're something else. And if I'm going to date someone, then if I ever going to date somebody, then I want to know. So I started collecting the pictures, but never to blackmail someone. I've never done that. Never done that. And trust me, I have photos of an acquaintance of mine of her in some. I had her in some really crazy raunchy photos, and never saved it with an intent of hurting her, but with an intent to just in case if anything ever happened. I don't know what I thought. I'll be honest. I know that it was never to hurt her, but I just kept it just in case. That's what I always think when I keep things, just in case. Um, and I'll have to think about that because I know that I didn't want to like blackmail her or hurt her, but it has something to do with the guy that had those photos. Like I was just like almost wanting to show her in the down the line, like you can't trust this person. That's what it was. And look what he did. He kept these photos, and if I kept the photos, then I could say, "Hey, this is proof." That's always what it is. It's always about protecting myself, not hurting the other person, protecting myself. So, anyways, going back to the Craigslist collecting. Yeah, I started collecting the photos, and I saw that the guy that was lying about who he was, and I was like, oh my goodness, how many people on here? I don't know who all these people are, blah, blah. It was a little paranoid, sure. I will say that. Paranoid, yes. I will admit to things that I am, and there is proof of, and I've been told. Paranoid, yes. And so, I kept 40 pictures. I mean, give me a break. And some of them were this, many of these photos are of the same person. So it's like probably 20, 20, 30. Not a big deal. Didn't spend that much time on it. Didn't spend that much thought on it as much as my gang stalkers would probably like you to believe. To the certain maggots that might be listening, some of the maggots that saw me doing this, who knows? But yeah, I mean, I all these photos I tucked away. I never thought of them again. Like never. Like I'm looking at this and I saved them and I never thought of them again. That's how much I put thought into these things. And also in conjunction with the fact that I've never intentionally hurt anyone, intentionally used information to hurt anyone, intentionally told someone, hey, I have this on you, so I'm gonna, this and this and that. The only thing I can think of was when I was trying to record my ex who physically assaulted me, and I thought that he should be arrested for it. His brother went to prison for doing that, and so I was trying to record him because the detective said that I should record him, and it was all right. Well, that's the only thing I can think of that I did surreptitiously, quote unquote. But I don't think that's surreptitiously. I think he was a dirtbag and he deserved to be arrested. Anyways, so going back to the Craigslist pick, I have it under here under pick collecting. So that was yesterday that I was watching that Twilight Zone episode, and this is what they do. They call it synchronicity, but it's another thing that, my gosh, it just makes me nauseated thinking how stupid you are. It's not synchronicity. It's it's using the technology that they have to make something happen, like watching Twilight Zone. They compel you to do that. They may compel you to go watch it, and they know that you're getting to the certain area archive on your and they knew that I was getting to my archive on my desktop where I'm backing everything up. And I go through each folder one by one, backing it up because of the fact that I get hacked often and I don't know if everything's getting backed up, so I have to do it the slow way. And then what do you know? Lo and behold, I fall upon less than 24 hours later, this pic collecting folder where I'm collecting these photos of these people I'm looking at it right now, it's hilarious to me, who are lying and cheating and dirtbags. And they're trying to tell me the point being is, look, you're the person in that Twilight Zone episode collecting these pics on people who are bad people. Sure, yeah, they are bad people, but you're a bad person for collecting that. You're the one that needs to be punished for that. Well, here any normal person, which you maggots are not normal people. You don't your brains have been damaged somehow. And I'm being dead serious about it. Your brains have been damaged somehow. You've been brainwashed, indoctrinated. You have a huge, like, quarter of your fucking mind that's not working properly because you don't have empathy and compassion, and you're not able to put yourself in other people's shoes and see that perspective. That frame of reference is missing to you. So they're trying to make they try to make these points, and this is very specific. I'm using a very specific example of their thought process and my thought process. Of course, their thought process is from their objective, non-objective point of view, and my thought process is from my non-objective point of view. But they're making their case by pointing, and I'm making my case. And my case, logically, obviously, makes so much more sense and is so harmless. And a normal person would look at this and think, and if they had all, and if the maggots and lowlifes and cowards and pieces of shit were speaking and also talking, you know, they'd be like, look what she did. She collected these pics. She's a bad person. Any normal person would laugh in their face. I mean, any normal person would fucking laugh in their face, because me having this folder on my desktop with like 20-30 photos that I have saved and then never gave it a second thought, and for the purposes of finding out if I can maybe find that guy again that I thought was my friend's husband or boyfriend, which was a good intention, is hilarious to me for being a bad person. It's that's why I always say, you and your petty reasons for gang stalking me, you and your petty reasons for targeting targeted individuals. It makes no sense. It's based in bullshit, in fog, mirror. What is that term? You know, fogs and mirror, smoke and fog, or whatever. It's baseless. It is grasping at straws. It is the right word is not coming to me, but it's pathological. It's delusional. It's stupid, moronic, and indicative of what you maggots are. You're empty. You have empty accusations, empty logic. You are empty people. You have a chasm in your mind and in your chest. You have low intellect. And the reason why I keep saying low intellect is because you don't have empathy. If you don't have empathy, it is a huge Grand Canyon of a missing portion to help you reason and use logic correctly and understand other people and why they do the things they do. So, you know, if you don't have empathy, then you can't see why possibly. Like, how do you imagine you don't have empathy? It's impossible if you have empathy. But for the people that do have empathy, you can understand where someone who's like me, a little definitely paranoid and analytical, super analytical, would, and extremely curious, like curious to the point of, like, on the spectrum, like a 9 or a 10. And you know, I've even had somebody online say, why do you want to know this? Question mark, question mark, question mark. You know, I'm that person. And so from that perspective, all those different nuanced motivations and characteristics coming together, and I'm missing one thing, and I'll go into that in a minute. That's the reason why I was pick collecting. And it's harmless. It's fucking harmless. And so anyways, to go back to that last thing, by this time when I had started pick collecting, you know, things had escalated, right? Things had really escalated when I came here to the Bay Area in 2007, 2008, 2009. It got worse every year. And the reason why is, if you have been gang stalked, and this is another thing that you maggots, you fucking lowlifes, can't seem to grasp, but you just kind of like throw away, or you forget, or the technology is brainwashing you to forget or not care And that is definitely happening with you guys. You are zombies and automatons, and some sort of aberrant version of a human being. you know, it's making you forget when you have been gang stalked your whole life. Sabotage after rude person after rude person after mind controlled person thrown in your path to be your friend that betrays you, after killing and murdering my mother and shooting her in the fucking head, after killing all of my pets. I remember they killed another pet, and just on and on to like being on the road and having road rage people. I realized all this stuff was because of you guys. And this turns you, it changes you into a more paranoid person, a more misanthropic person, a person that wonders what people's motives are, because these crazy things keep happening to you, and it compounds, and it's like compound interest. It compounds and it compounds and it compounds. And so that in and of itself, in my opinion, and from just pure deduction of looking at my own life and all the things that were compounded in my life that caused this, then that caused that, and then that caused that. Of course, you're not in my mind, and there's no way you could see that. But I see that. I know it's only from my perspective, but anyone with common sense could see that a life of just surrounded and tidal waves of trauma and sabotage and abuse, emotional, electronic stuff going into your head, making you think things, being surrounded by non-empathetic, hateful people would make that person, I forgot the word I was going to say, would make that person eccentric, would make that person hateful, more reactive, not trusting. Nobody starts out like this. So, all I have to say is I'll never know how loving and how forgiving and how more normal, because you guys aren't normal I would have been if it weren't for all the interference my entire life, since from my teens, from my birth. And so that's why I always say, not my fault. I'm not taking any responsibility for any of this shit. But anyways, that's the point of this post. It's to talk about a very specific circumstance where I'm being accused of something based on my actions that I took, where I collected those pics, and describing the juxtaposition of the truth of what actually happened, my truth, versus what they're trying to make me feel like and what they're trying to make me out to be. And this happens all the time. It happens all the time. Today, yesterday, the day before, several times a day. And at this point, it's starting to make me chuckle, because, but it's also tragic, because the people that are getting targeted, they know the truth. They know that they're not these bad people, these horrible people. They know that they've been framed for a lot of this stuff. They know that they've been set up to do these horrible things. And I believe that wholeheartedly, without a doubt, because if I'm a good person, such a good person, actually, from a young age, I had anger problems at a young age, right? Obviously with a crazy dad, whatnot, but just normal in every other way after that. Not Machiavellian, very empathetic, all the things that I said before. So all the good completely outweighed the bad. And without all the gang stalking, I would have been just a spectacular, what did I say this morning when I woke up? A dazzling person. And so, it's my juxtaposition of what I know to be true. And even looking at this, it's like hilarious. Like, this is all I did. I did it once, a few times, and it was tucked away in a folder. I completely forgot about it. Right. And I'm the same guy on that Twilight Zone episode. Give me a fucking motherfucking break. I mean, you embarrass yourself. And trust me, this is not the first time. Probably by this time, thousands of times, situations like this where you embarrass yourself. You make yourself look dumb, low intellect, delusional, hateful, jealous, accusatory, paranoid. You have nothing on me. Nothing. And the main reason why you maggots have nothing on me, though, is because of who I was originally and then who I gradually started turning into because of your gang stalking. So you can't accuse me of anything. You can only The only thing that's happening here is your finger is pointing at yourself, at what you do to people, to make them into people like this. Instead of helping them, loving them, mentoring them, supporting them, providing resources, you destroy. That is what you are, and that is what you do. And then while you're doing that, you probably don't even know that other people are doing that, and something else is happening to the targeted individual, and something else is happening to the targeted individuals. You don't even probably know all the things that we're being compelled to do. All you see is the end result, and you go, "What a bitch! She deserves it. She deserves to be a TI. I don't feel sorry for her because she did that." And you know what? That's why you're the hateful piece of shit in this world. You're the hate in this world that needs to be eliminated. You're the hate that is causing all of these problems in the world. I know you don't think that. It's the fucking truth, my friend. You are the reason why all of this is happening. You might be thinking, "Oh, she doesn't know. She doesn't have the knowledge. She doesn't have access to all the information. She doesn't know how many fires we put out. And if it wasn't for us, what?" No. You are the reason. I have seen it enough. I have seen what you are. You are disgusting. Disgusting. Like lower than an insect. Just heinous, just wretched, like slime, scum sucking pieces of shit. That's what you are. And when you are that bad, and when you're a part of something with so much hate and so much destruction, so much no love in your hearts, no goodness in your hearts, it's black sludge. Nothing good can come from that. You don't have a base to start with. You don't have a base of good to start with. It's been just ripped out of you. You are not a regular human being. You're not a normal human being. Something's wrong with you. You are defective. You are damaged goods. And when you come to a situation and you're trying to assess it, then it comes from a flawed place. You are a flawed thing. Flawed is too nice of a word. So when you're coming at me and telling me, "Oh, look, she's the collector," we chose this Twilight Zone episode to describe her. I just kind of owned your ass right now. I just obliterated your argument, and I happen to do this very well. And I know I've done it to past pieces of shit, and that's probably one of the reasons why I'm here, because I'm so good at doing this. Like I said, when I was 14, my teacher told me, my counselor told me I should have been an attorney, and because of the way my mind thinks and the way that I talked. So yeah, that's that. That's the pick collecting, collecting Twilight Zone kind of very microcosm example of why you're a moron, why you're the hate in the world, why there's something wrong with you, and the way that you come to decisions and the way that you get the information. It's not comprehensive, and you kill and hurt and destroy innocent people. Innocent people. That's why I use the word innocent, and you deserve a fate worse than death. Not hell. Nobody deserves to go to hell, but you deserve a pretty bad death. And I do believe that if karma exists, that you are just sucking that bad karma onto yourself. I mean, karma is natural, right? Like, let's say if it exists, which I don't believe that it exists, but natural karma would be, some kind of energetic force. What's happening to me is not karma. This is you guys being hateful, biased, racist, sociopathic, psychopathic pieces of shit. But what I have seen, I was just thinking of a new gang stalking pretend friend that came down with MS, I think she had, or like, I don't know what she had, but I was like, wow, her too. And then this other chick that was doing this video on acne, she had 5 kids and she was in so much pain for an entire year. I think she's a gang stalker, and that's natural karma, right? And all your family members, everyone dying of cancer, and these weird, like, this other gang stalker, Claudia, she had this huge grapefruit size, like, growth in her abdomen. Like, that's natural karma, baby. If natural karma exists, that shit is it. And you guys have it in spades. You guys have it and doing all this stuff to innocent people like me, innocent people whose lives are continuously, chronically destroyed and fucked with, that compounds what they become. You keep you keep splitting their destiny away from what they would have been every time you screw with them, every time you fuck with them, and then blame them for it. It's psychopathic, psychotic. It's a psychotic way of thinking. It's a deluded person's way of thinking. It's a bad person's way of thinking. It's a hateful person's way of thinking. And that's you guys. That is you guys. That is you all. You maggots. You pieces of shit. You're dirtbags. You're scumbags. You're slime. And at the same time, you pat yourselves on the back and think you're so smart. It's hilarious. It's absurd. And so there you have it. My Twilight Zone pick collecting vlog.